Welcome to this story. Welcome to a quiet winter night where silence speaks louder than noise. Welcome to a place where emotions walk slowly and memories breathe in the cold air. This story is not only about a street or a bookstore, it is about you. It is about every tired heart that keeps moving without being noticed on this night. Snow was falling softly, and the city felt like it had forgotten how to breathe. The street was narrow and empty, covered in white, as if time itself had paused. The yellow street lights stood still, watching the ground below like old guardians of forgotten dreams. There were no footsteps, no voices, no rushing cars, only the sound of snow touching the earth gently, as if it was afraid to disturb the sadness resting. There Ian stood in the middle of that street, holding his coat close, not because of the cold, but because of the weight he carried inside his chest. He had walked these streets many times before, but tonight felt different. Tonight the silence felt heavier, almost alive. Every step he took echoed inside his heart. He was not running from something, nor was he searching for anything. He was simply walking because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant pain. His life had become a routine of waking, working, smiling, and returning home empty. He had dreams, once dreams that burned bright, but slowly they faded under responsibilities and failures until only tiredness remained. And as he stood there, snow settling on his shoulders, he felt small and unseen, like the world had moved on without him. As Ian walked further down the street, something unusual caught his eye. A soft, warm glow stood against the cold darkness. A small bookstore. Old wooden door, fogged glass windows, and a gentle light spilling onto the snow. It looked out of place, yet perfectly meant to be there. The sign above the door read, "Free Bookstore, take one, leave hope." And those words struck something deep inside him. He did not know why his feet stopped moving, but his heart felt pulled toward that door. The street behind him felt colder now, and the silence louder, yet near the bookstore the air felt kinder, like a pause meant just for him. He hesitated because hope was a dangerous thing. Hope had hurt him before, but something about this place felt honest, like it was not asking for money or promises, only believe. He pushed the door open, and a soft bell echoed inside. Shelves filled with books stood quietly, each one carrying stories, pain, wisdom, and warmth. The smell of old paper wrapped around him like a memory he had forgotten. And for the first time in a long while, his shoulders relaxed. He did not know yet that this place would change him. He did not know that this quiet room held answers he never knew how to ask. All he knew was that for the first time in many years, he felt seen without being judged, and that feeling alone made his eyes heavy. Ian stood still, letting the silence of the bookstore speak to him. The snow outside continued to fall, but inside time slowed down. Every book felt like a heartbeat, waiting to be touched. This place did not shine loudly. It did not demand attention. It simply existed, offering comfort to anyone brave enough to enter. And in that moment, Ian realized something powerful. Sometimes life does not change with loud victories or sudden success. Sometimes life changes in quiet moments, on empty streets, in small rooms filled with forgotten stories. He reached out and touched the nearest book, not knowing why, but trusting the feeling guiding him. His fingers trembled, not from cold, but from the fear of believing again. Outside, the world remained the same, cold, busy, and unforgiving. But inside this bookstore, something had shifted. A small light had been lit inside him, and even though it was fragile, it was real. This was only the beginning, a single step into a story that would slowly teach him that broken dreams do not mean broken people, and that even on the quietest, coldest nights, hope can still find its way to those who are willing to stop and listen. Ian stood there holding the book as if it could disappear, If he loosened his grip, the warmth he felt inside the bookstore was unfamiliar and slightly frightening because he had lived so long without it. He slowly opened the first page expecting words, stories, or instructions, but instead he found emptiness, a blank page staring back at him like a mirror. His heart sank for a moment, thinking it was another disappointment, another reminder that nothing ever stayed magical for long. But then he noticed a single line written faintly, as if it had been waiting for him alone. It said, "This book is for those who are tired of being strong." Something inside Ian cracked open. Years of holding himself together, years of pretending he was fine, rushed back all at once. He remembered nights where he questioned his worth, mornings where he forced himself to move forward without knowing why. He had carried responsibilities that were never meant for his shoulders, and failures that spoke louder than his efforts. And in that quiet moment, he realized this book was not empty. It was listening. He turned the page slowly, and with every page the words felt heavier, not because they were sad, but because they were true. The book spoke of people who tried and failed and still woke up the next day. It spoke of dreams delayed, not destroyed, and of strength that grows silently in broken hearts. Ian felt as if someone had finally named his pain without judging it. Each sentence felt like a hand placed gently on his back, telling him it was okay to rest. He had spent so long believing that stopping meant losing, that slowing down meant weakness, but the book whispered a different truth. It reminded him that healing was not a race, and that surviving itself was an achievement. As he read, his breathing slowed, his thoughts softened, and for the first time, he allowed himself to sit with his emotions instead of running from them. He was not fixing his life, he was understanding it, and that understanding brought a calm he had not felt in years. As he reached the final page of the book, he noticed something strange. The words slowly faded, leaving behind space, not emptiness, but possibility. A quiet message remained written deeply into his chest. Not all answers are found immediately, some are felt first. Ian closed the book and held it close, realizing that this bookstore was not giving him solutions, it was giving him permission to feel, to pause, to believe again. He understood now that hope does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it enters softly through a door on a snowy street and sits beside you without saying much. Outside, the snow continued to fall and the world remained unchanged, but inside Ian something had shifted. He was still the same man with the same problems, but now he carried a gentle certainty that he was not broken beyond repair, and that realization marked the true beginning of his journey. The nights that followed pulled Ian back to the bookstore without effort, as if the street itself remembered him and waited. Every evening, the snow fell quietly, and every evening he found himself walking the same path, no longer wondering, but arriving. The door opened with the same gentle sound, and the warmth welcomed him like an old friend. He did not rush to choose a book anymore. He learned to walk slowly between the shelves, letting his fingers brush the spines, letting his heart decide. Each book felt alive, as if it carried a breath of its own, and when he opened them, the words felt personal. They spoke about fear, about doubt, about people who felt lost, even when surrounded by others. And with every page, Ian felt less alone. He realized that pain was not unique to him, and that realization did not make his pain smaller, but it made it lighter. One night, as he read quietly, he noticed something changing inside him. The heaviness that once sat on his chest began to loosen, not because his problems had vanished, but because his relationship with them had shifted. The books did not tell him to be fearless. They taught him that fear was allowed. They did not promise success. They reminded him that effort mattered even When results were invisible, Ian began to reflect on his own life, not with anger, but with honesty. He saw the moments where he had tried despite being afraid, the moments where he had kept going even when no one noticed, and for the first time, he felt respect for himself. The self-respect was fragile, but real. It did not shout, it whispered. And yet that whisper carried strength. He understood that growth was not loud, and healing was not dramatic. It was slow, quiet, and often unnoticed, just like snow falling in the night. As the days passed, Ian noticed he was changing outside the bookstore as well. His steps felt steadier, his eyes carried less weight, and his silence no longer felt empty. He began to listen more deeply to the world around him, to the way snow softened sound, to the way light reflected gently off white streets. He realized that beauty often lived in overlooked places, and that included himself. The books had not rewritten his story, they had helped him read it with kinder eyes, and in doing so, they returned something precious to him. Believe that his journey still mattered. Believe that even if he was behind, he was not lost. And believe that sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is to keep showing up night after night, trusting that meaning will slowly reveal itself. One evening, the bookstore felt different, not colder, but quieter, as if it was holding its breath. Ian sensed it. The moment he stepped inside, the light was softer, the shelves seemed fewer, and the air carried a weight he could not name. His steps slowed, and his heart felt alert, like it was being prepared for something important. He noticed a single book resting alone on a wooden table placed at the center of the room. It had no title, no author, and no markings, yet it felt heavier than all the others combined. Ian stood before it, unsure, afraid, because deep down he understood that this book was not meant to comfort him, it was meant to confront him. And for the first time since entering this place, he hesitated, because some truths are harder to accept than pain. When he finally opened the book, the pages did not speak of failure or dreams or survival. Instead, they spoke of responsibility, not the kind forced by the world, but the kind owed to oneself. The words reflected moments Ian had avoided, chances he had ignored, and paths he had been afraid to choose. It did not accuse him. It simply showed him his own reflection without distortion, and that honesty burned more than criticism ever could. He realized that healing was only the first step, and that staying healed required courage, the courage to act, to try again, to risk disappointment once more. The book seemed to remind him that understanding pain without changing direction would only turn wisdom into regret, and that message stayed with him long after he closed the pages. As Ian stepped back from the table, he noticed something unsettling. The shelves were slowly emptying, books fading like memories that had served their purpose. The bookstore was not disappearing, it was transforming. And so was he. He understood now that this place was never meant to be permanent. It was a bridge, a pause, a quiet teacher meant to prepare him, not shelter him forever. Outside, the snow continued to fall unchanged, but inside Ian, a decision formed, silent yet firm. He did not know what the next step would look like, but he knew he could no longer remain still. The bookstore had given him clarity, and clarity demanded movement. And with that realization, the night felt less heavy and more honest than ever before. The next night, Ian returned with a heart full of quiet determination, but the street felt unfamiliar. The snow still fell, and the lights still glowed, yet something essential was missing. The warmth that once guided his steps had thinned, and when he reached the place where the bookstore stood, there was only silence. No door, no light, no shelves, only an empty space covered in untouched snow. His breath slowed, and his chest tightened, not with panic, but with understanding. He did not feel abandoned, he felt released. The bookstore had not left him behind. It had stepped aside, allowing him to move forward on his own, and in that stillness he realized that some guides disappear once their lesson is learned standing there. Ian reflected on how much he had changed. The weight that once bent his shoulders no longer controlled his posture. His fear had not vanished, but it no longer ruled his choices. He understood now that motivation is not a sudden fire. It is a steady warmth built from patience, reflection, and self-respect. The nights spent among books had not given him a new life, they had returned him to his own. He felt gratitude, not sadness, because loss does not always mean something was taken. Sometimes it means something was successfully given. And that gift had been belief in effort, belief in slow growth, and belief that he deserved to try. Again, as Ian turned away from the empty street, the snow felt lighter and the night kinder. He carried no book in his hands, yet his heart felt full. He knew the road ahead would still be difficult, but now difficulty felt meaningful rather than cruel. He took a final look at the quiet space and whispered a thank you not to the place, but to the version of himself who had been brave enough to enter it. And as he walked forward, the silence followed him gently, no longer heavy, but peaceful, reminding him that sometimes endings are simply beginnings that choose to walk with you, rather than wait for you. Thank you for watching. Have a sweet sleep.